Hello everyone, welcome to another session on Zentangle Dingsplatz. This is the fifth session on the special string Dingsplatz, and today we are going to draw another tile using the same string. And let's get started right away. I'm again using the round Zendala, and today also I'm going to start with my string with a pencil preferably, but you can always go ahead and straight draw with your pen. That's entirely up to you. Right, so that's my string, and now right away I'm going to start to tangle. First ink your string, a nice flowy string that we have here. Slowly ink it, or alternatively, as I mentioned, you can draw straight with your pen. And the last loop here. You can also give some baby loops, some fun, something like this. Yeah. So once we are done with that, now what I'm going to do is add a thin aura and then start with a tangle called Diva dance in a circular version, the rock and roll version, inside my Dingsplatz in the inner space here. Right, so let's get started. This version of Diva dance is called the Diva dance rock and roll version. What I am going to do is keep a little extra gap between the auras as I draw. Right, and you would realize that why I'm doing that a little later as we start to shade. Yes, because I want to shade them as layers. If the auras are very close, probably it would be difficult to do that, and hence I'm keeping the auras at a slight distance, a little more than we usually do. I'm going back and forth and adding humps or bold inked portions here and there as we generally do for the Tangle Diva dance. Just in case you are new to the channel or new to this tangle, I have done an entire series on Diva dance, so you might want to refer to those videos, practice, and then get back to this video. Yeah, so I'm just going around adding some bold inked portions here and there as I draw along, maintaining a slightly more distance compared to what we usually do when we draw the Diva dance rock and roll version. As I mentioned, I intend to highlight the layers, and that's why some bit of extra space there, else the entire section will go gray. Yes, so just continue in the same fashion. I'm doing nothing, drawing curvy zigzag lines, flowy lines, rotating my tile continuously, coming back, adding some extra ink here and there, and then again continuing the same process. Yes. So slowly take your time, do that exercise at your own pace. These inked portions can be of any shape or size. They can be big ones, they can be small, they can be flatter, they can be big humps. So any which ways that you like, that's not a constraint. Give it your personal touch, make it your own. Make it your own version of the tangle. Yes, so I'm still continuing in the same fashion. About to cover the entire area. Yes, have fun as you draw the tangle. Take your time. Now we can go on and complete one part, one side. Moving on to the next. Like this. Yeah, so that's Diva dance. Now the rest of the sections entirely up to us. How do we want to go about? So I am now going to add an outer aura like this. You can add a close aura, or you can add an aura like this, the way I am doing. Whichever way you want it to be. Just go with the flow. And the last one there. Yes. Now in between the auras, again these are thick spaces. If you want, you can add any tangle, for example Duda, for example Muka, whichever tangle you feel like, right? So you can also add Marasu. So let's add Duda for a change. So I'm going to add a simple tangle called Duda in this outer aura, lines coming from both sides but not touching, stopping about 3/4 of the distance on the other side, like this. Yeah, hope it is clear enough. Yeah. So again, I'm going to do the same exercise throughout, lines coming from both sides, going up to 3/4 of the distance of the line previously drawn, and you form a beautiful tangle called Duda. So take your time, spaces are small, be patient. It's a simple tangle to draw, just line work. But if you lose concentration, the line will start to touch the other side. Yes, so it's important to be mindful. Take your time. So don't have to be worried too much about whether the lines are straight or slanting. That's fine. This is freehand drawing. Yes, so again, small spaces, drawing line from both sides. Take your time. And the last one here. Yes. So as far as these loops are concerned, I'm just going to add Knight's Bridge. So I'm going to divide the loop into sections and then I'm going to ink alternate sections. Simple tangle, Knight's Bridge. I think we started with the tangle Knight's Bridge in the first session. So I'm going to be repeating that here. Take your time, slowly go to each of these loops and add this checkerboard tangle Knight's Bridge. Yeah. So continuing with the same exercise, I am now on the last one. Adding the Tangle Knight's Bridge. In the loops. Of my Dingsplatz. Just take your time. And slowly ink each of the alternate squares. Like this. Right? Now, if you want to build some kind of a relation between the inside and the outside, then probably you can add 1 or 2 layers of your Diva dance on the outside. Something like this. Yes. So I'm just going to add a few lines, probably 3 or 4, to build kind of a connection with my inner tangle. Just take your time. Do that exercise. Throughout. Yes. So I'm done with that. These inside spaces inside the loop, you can either leave it as such or you can just add any simple tangle, something like I've seen Maria doing, drawing lines from both sides, or just probably convert it into betweed, something like this. Pick any tangle of your choice. Yeah, so that's betweed, kind of a woven look, lines coming from both sides and just a little extra ink as we end the line. Lines almost at right angles to each other. Take your time. Right? So let's do that for all. Like this. Right, so I'm done adding betweed inside each of these loops. Now the rest of the space is again choose tangle that appeals to you, that pleases to you. I'm just going to go with some crazy fescues. Fragile, delicate, not really pressing my pen much. Something like this. Yeah, so you can take your time and draw these kind of funky, delicate fescues. Just a dot at the end, you don't even have to shape it. I'm just drawing in just about any fashion wherever I find space. These fescues. Yeah, so take your time. I'm going to go around and do that exercise throughout. Just a line and a dot at the end. Probably a simple version of fescue. Yeah, so take your time and do that exercise all throughout. So I'm done with that exercise. I've added fescues all around. Yes, and now let us start to shade. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to add shading under these layers. So I'm starting from one side and adding graphite under the layers on one side, and also inside this enclosed area, just adding graphite there. Some thick graphite here. So we won't have much of space to blend, so we will stick to minimal of blending. So let us first blend this much. Yes. So I'm going to blur the graphite without pulling out too much, taking it towards the center but not too much, keeping it to the edges. Making this part really dark, a little extra dark here, and then just with the tip of my blender I'm just kind of making my graphite a little blurry, hazy, not really pressing hard, taking it easy, just kind of blurring the graphite a little like this. Yeah, so there's one more layer, so we can add here also. Yeah, so that's our Diva dance inside. Now you can, if you want, extend the shading a little more. like this. Yeah. Coming next to our loops, so I'm just going to darken one side. You can shade it any which ways you want. Since the beveled is small, I'm not going to shade the beveled individually. Instead, just pick up that section and darken half of it. Slowly take your time. Do that exercise for all. Add the graphite on one side and blend it to about half. If you want, you can add some touches on the knight's bridge. Again, spaces are small, so you won't like to blend too much, just touching. Yeah, slowly, wherever you can. Maybe what is already there on your stump might be sufficient to give that much of shading. You might not want to touch your pencil. So I have just given slight touches on these loops, and now I'm going to highlight this part with graphite from where my fescues are coming out to give it a little depth, as if they are coming out from behind. Take your time. Slowly add the graphite. Yes. So I think by now you have got an idea how beautifully you can use this string. You can use different combination of tangles and it looks beautiful. It's very versatile, open to many combination of tangles. It all depends on how you want to. What mix of tangles do you want to take or choose? Yeah. Now last but not the least, I'm going to use some of my white chalk and grey brush pen. If you have a grey brush pen handy, then it would be nice to highlight the dark areas where I've added some extra darkness. I'm going to add some bit of grey brush pen also to highlight it a little more, to show kind of a dip again on the edges here over the graphite, redoing the graphite with my grey brush pen to add a little extra depth. You can very comfortably do that with your pencil also. If you have a darker pencil, make use of it to add that extra darkness. Yeah, and the rest of the tile probably you can highlight the inner space. I'm going to extend this a little more so that my highlighted part is reduced a little, and then I'm going to just use my chalk pencil and rub it on the other side where there is no graphite to give that high and low effect. Yes, just blend it a little with your hands, or if you have a different blender. I'm just using my fingers. Some of the lines which you can redo is this inner line, inner aura. Always revisit the lines after you are done. Always a good idea. Right? You may, if you want, touch upon your Duda also, but the spaces are small, so I don't want to, else the whole Duda will go gray. I'm just going to highlight the other side of betweed. Take your time. So give that time to shading. If you want, you can add highlight on the black like this. So your Marasu or your Knight's Bridge pops up. And that's about it. I think we are done. There is no need. I'm just giving slight touches there on my Duda because it's looking absolutely white. So I'm not going to add on the other side, but just giving a slight touch. Slowly take your time. Don't haste up when you're shading. Yes, your tile is incomplete till you complete your shading, and some bit of black pearls is always a good idea. So here come the embellishments. My favorite part before I complete my tile. If you want, you can add a little bit of shadow underneath. Some bit of graphite there. And that's about it. You're sorted. Yes. So that's our Dingsplatz. Let us close our tile here. Put in your chop sitting somewhere cozily. Sign and date your tile. I shall see you again with some more sessions on Dingsplatz. We'll explore a little more before we close this series. Till then, have a good time. Bye-bye.